Okay, in this video we're going to be replacing the front shocks on a 2006 F350 Super Duty. Obviously the shocks themselves, you know, they're inside over here. So we're going to jack the truck up, we're going to take this tire off, and then we'll come right back. So let me get this jacked up, I'll get the wheel off, and we'll go from there. Alright, now that we got the wheel off, you can see the shock absorber a lot clearer. But one thing before you do anything, I just want to tell you, obviously you have your vehicle jacked up, you got the wheel off. Never work underneath the vehicle unless you've got some kind of a jack support underneath the vehicle to hold it. God forbid something fails, you'll be safe. If you don't have anything to put under it like that, just take the tire off, slide your tire underneath the vehicle, and in the worst possible case, at least the tire will, keep it from crushing you or doing any further damage to it. So if you have to, you slide the tire underneath it. Preferably use something to hold it up that's on the frame itself. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the shock absorber. We're going to remove the top bolt right up in here, and we're going to remove this lower bolt right down in here, and we're going to take it out. Obviously, as you can see, it's extremely rusty in here. They've been in here for a long time, so we're going to spray it up with some penetrating oil, and we're going to get started on it. Alright, so let me grab some tools and I'm going to come right back. Two ways you can do it. One, you can get up inside the vehicle from the top, right up underneath here, with an air gun and try to shoot off the top bolt. A little bit tough because of the master cylinder and the reservoir is in the way. So let me show you the way I do it. Let me grab some wrenches and I'm going to come right back. Okay, now that we got the tools on it that we needed, what I normally do is up on the top of this shock right here, I get on there with a ratcheting wrench and I put it onto the top of it here, and then take another wrench here, in this particular case 19mm, and catch the 19mm on that nut on the bottom of the shock, and then you just unscrew it. It holds the shock with your left hand, you hold the shock from turning, and you're unscrewing the right one, the nut off the top of the shock itself. Way to do it, because if you try to get up on top with an air gun, you have very limited access to this nut. And then once you have it loose, obviously you take it off and you're going to discard it because we're not going to be using this over. We're going to be getting a new one with the new shock. We're going to discard the old washer that's up on top, and the same thing with the bushing. We don't need that either. So we don't need those. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the bolt down on the lower part, right down over here. We're going to remove that. You can use a ratchet, or if you have an air powered, you can use air. In this particular case, I'm going to use air, and I'm going to hold the nut because it's going to fall off down in the bottom. We're going to reuse that. So we're going to reuse this, and we're going to reuse the other bolt that was through the lower shock also. And you can take a screwdriver and you can just pry it out of the, right? Pry it out, and then we're going to dispose of it. We're going to replace it with the new one. All right, and when you put the new one back in, you put your washer on top, put your spacer on top, your rubber grommet, put it up through the top here, and then we'll get it back into the bottom here. And then we'll put the lower bolt back in first. Remember, we're going to screw this in, so you have to hold that in the bottom and turn it in by hand first. Don't use the air or a ratchet yet. Turn it in by hand. And once you screw it in by hand all the way, then you can take your air gun or your ratchet, whichever, and you can tighten that bolt all the way up. Alright, that's tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this strap off because we no longer need it. Cut it. Cut it. And then we're going to be disposing of this. It's no longer needed. Alright? Then you put your washer, your rubber insulator up on top. Push it down. Put your metal gasket or metal washer on top. And then you screw your nut onto the top of that. Screw it on by hand as far as you can. And then we're just going to reverse the procedure we did before. We're going to tighten it with the ratcheting wrench, and we're going to hold it with the other wrench. And we're going to put our wrench onto the shock and hold it while we tighten up the top. And then you tighten it down until the rubber bushings are crushed pretty good so that you have no movement in there whatsoever. Again, if you want to do this from the top to there, you can, but I find it easier going this way instead of trying to get in there and tighten it up from the top. Okay, so just to recap, I'm going to show you we got the lower bolt back in where it belongs and it's tight. We put the shock right through the frame, tightened it up, and on this particular one they had a little rubber insulator over the top to keep the line, probably a power steering line, from rubbing a hole through it. So we're going to reuse this on the top of this shaft right up in here, and we just put that on. Where it belongs. And now it keeps the power steering hose from rubbing a hole through it on the top. And that's it, you're all set. All right, not too bad when you know what you're doing. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.